Good afternoon, Happy.
Hi, good afternoon.
How are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Lumide. Mrs. Iguahan, good afternoon. How are you doing? Yes.
Mr. Ojo, good afternoon.
I said I
I'm
will
fine,
continue.
and you?
Very well, very well. We should continue with communication with Lucille.
Please leave us alone. Ah, good afternoon, everyone. Olumide, happy. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Vivian, good afternoon.
Good
Joy.
afternoon, Fifian. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, Moses. Yeah.
Okay, bye-bye.
This everyone, good afternoon, everyone. This is unlike Dr. Francis. So I don't know, maybe if IJ can get in touch with him. This is 6 minutes after 1. If IJ is on the call, maybe you can get in touch with him.
AJ is not here. Moses, if you have his number, you can call him now.
Okay, let me check my phone.
Did you guys attend last week?
Yes, we did.
Wow, what did you learn? I'm behind. I think I've not joined for some time now.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
Well, it's not picking his call. So let's hope he will join us soon. And let's hope all is well.
Hello.
Good afternoon, Doctor.
Good afternoon, Dr. Francis.
Good afternoon,
doctor.
sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, guys. How are you?
Fine,
Very well,
thank
sir.
you.
All
Fine.
right. Good. All right. Where did we stop last week? Where did we stop last week?
Good afternoon, Dr. Francis.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Last week we concluded NumPy, rand int, and then I think what we did last was the data frame part of it, and then we were splitting it into columns, index.
Oh, okay. Pandas.
Yes.
All right, that's fine. Am I sharing my screen?
Not yet, sir. Yes, we can see your screen now.
You can see my screen now. Okay. All right. So we have entered pandas, right?
Yes, sir.
Pandas. Okay. So your pandas is just like your Excel, okay, but in Python. Okay. So the foundation is your NumPy. Okay, so it's built on NumPy. Okay. And remember, we showed you the various ways in which we can present data. We have shown you how you can put in a list, a dictionary, right? But here in pandas, what we first of all look at is what we refer to as a series. Isn't it? It can be a row or column, but here we call it what? A series. Okay. Then we can also talk about what? A data frame, which is like your table. And one thing we should always do before we bring in anything, we have to first of all import them. So say import, so we can say import NumPy as NP. We can run that. We can say import pandas as PD. Okay, so we have now imported the libraries. Okay, so most time you see them putting a comment. Are you not importing the relevant libraries? Something like that. So you can type whatever you want. Okay, so you have to first of all import those libraries. Okay. Then we also mentioned that your pandas, right? So remember in your when you're working with Excel, you're working with like rows and columns, right? But you see, you don't necessarily have rows and columns. So most of what we are going to be working with is like a matrix. Okay, it's like a matrix. And because of that, you now need to look for a way to have like your what rows and columns. So that's why we use what the matrix. Okay, we use what the matrix. And you know, like in your conventional Excel, in terms of the size to be limited, right? Because Excel, how many rows does Excel have? How many rows do you have in Excel? Yes. How many rows do you have in Excel?
1 million,
Okay, about 1 million.
48,000.
Okay,
Yeah.
about 1,048,000. But with Excel, you can be working in hundreds of millions of rows. Okay. So that's why when it comes to big data, you see Excel cannot handle that. So that's why you now use things like what Python, R. Okay, so they are built for large data sets. Okay. All right. So let's just look at certain data that we have shown. So you can actually create your own data sets, right? And I think I showed us how to create the data. So for example, we can have let's say we can have numbers, can put it in a list, let's say 10, 20, 30, 40, let's say 50. Okay, so these are your what? Numbers, okay. We can have, let's say, names, right? So we can have names. We can have names A, B, you can have your C, you can have C, you can have D, and you can have what? E, right? Or you can even have a dictionary, isn't it? You can also have what? Your dictionary, okay? You can also have an array. What at the end of the day, what you have here, you now have to what? Create it in form of either you put it in a series or in a data frame, okay? And if you are to put it in a series, so for example, if I have data, so if I say data is equals to pd.series, okay? Then what's the data? What's the data? Yes, what's the data here? Yeah, what would be the data?
Data will be the numbers.
Yes, the data will be the numbers, right?
And the
Why you
data
have it?
also be the names.
So it now depends on what you want now. So
Okay.
the first one is the numbers, where you have the data, right? Then those names now will now be the index.
Oh, okay.
Isn't it? You now have the index. And what the index is what? Names. Right? If I run data, can you see that now? And remember again, we can also put it the same way. Let's say if I say data2 equals to pd.series. Now, if I end up calling the data equal to, so I can just say numbers, comma, then the other one will be index. So you see, it's an index not defined. So that index will be the names. So let me call it names. So I can do it either way. So data2. So you see, you can do it either ways, okay? Or you can even create it, rather than you creating it in a variable, you can even put it the name, you can even put the names there. Right? So for example, if I have data3 pd.series, right? So in place of putting the names, I can just write the whole this thing there. I can just copy these ones out. This. Let me just take this guy out and put there, since that is the names, right? And in terms of the index, I can just say index equal to, if I want to call the index name. If not, I can just put A, B, C, D, E, F. So let me just copy it out. index, I can now put it this way. Let's say data 3. So can you see you can do it any of this way? Okay, you can do it any of this way. All right. Now this is for a series, but if I was to make it a data frame, right? Because your data frame is just like your tables, but here you will call it what? A data frame. So the same way, rather than you calling it pd.series, we can just say, okay, data 4 is equals to, so let's call it df. Df stands for data frame. So pd.data frame. Notice how the spelling of the data frame is. Okay. Then I can have my names. I can have my what? I can have maybe the data is what? Numbers, right? So I have numbers and I have my data, and my index is what? Names. Okay, so if I have df, so we can see that. Okay. Now, if you want to put the, so for example, you now have 0 there. So 0 there is supposed to be the title of that column, isn't it? So again, you can also say, we can also put it there and say, okay, columns. Let me put, let's put what? Values. Let's put it as values. So if I say df, so can you see values there? So that's how you want to title the what? Name of your table. This would be like your what? Index. Okay, this would be like what? Your index. So the same way, you can put different names. Okay, different names. Okay, or even if you want to have different countries, you can also have different what? Countries. Okay, so for example, we gave an example. So if I say df1 equal to pd.data frame, let's say you have, let's say this our data, let's call it GDP. So let's call these numbers, let's call it GDP. Let's call these different countries, okay? So in that case, let me copy. Let me copy them down. So if I do this, so here I will call it, let's say GDP, right? So let's say GDP, or let me just use all lowercase. GDP, okay. So let's assume those are GDP. Let's say countries. So countries, let's say here you have Nigeria, here let's say you have Ghana, let's say here you have Kenya, let's say here you have South Africa, which other country again? Let's say Egypt, right? So all these are the different countries. So that means if I want to put it in a data frame, then I will simply call it a GDP, what? Countries. If I want to put a column name, what will be the column name? Columns, what will be the column name? Okay, we can call it GDP. Okay, so if I say df1, so that's all you have there. Can you see that now? So if you have it that way, and there are several situations where you can create them the way you want, isn't it? You can create them the way you want. Sometimes, again, if you want to say, for example, the same way we created the other one, let's say instead of these countries, we now have the year, right? So let's say we want to now have year, and let's say we want to have GDP. Okay, we want to have the country, we have to have what? GDP. Then, in that case, if we were to create it, then we can have, let's say, TF2. So PD data frame. So now I can create it, whatever I want to create there. So let's say we have GDP there, right? So that's the numbers. So let's say, for example, we want to have the year, right? The index will now be the year. Okay, so if I just type equals to index and I put the year there. So let's say the year I have 20 what now? So let's say 2020, 2019, 18, 16. So let's say 2017, 2016. Okay, let me just use them as numbers. So let's say 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. Okay, that should be your index. Okay, let's run that and see. So if I say DF2, now can you see what you have here now?
There's no country. Okay.
Yeah, we're talking about year,
Okay.
right? So assuming now I want to get maybe countries. Let's say countries now. Countries. So which countries do we want now? Which countries do we want now? So let's say, for example, which countries do we need now?
Nigeria.
Okay, so I can say, okay, columns. Let's say Nigeria. Can you see that? Nigeria. Now, if I have another, let's say I have another country again. Let's say I have another country. Let's say Ghana. And I run that. Now look at this. What does this error tell you? What does this error tell you? Yes.
It's 5 rows and 1 column that you have, but you're trying to do 5 rows and 2 columns.
We are trying to do 5 rows and 2 columns, but the data
Can
we
we say
have
that the data and the index do not match?
yes, do not match. So, and remember, this thing comes from where? Where does this error come from now? Where you have the shape like this, where does it come from? Where we're dealing with this shape of your data,
Like,
where does it come from?
I'm not sure, but can we say it's the array?
That's your NumPy now.
Okay.
That's your NumPy. You know, remember when we did shape, when we check the shape? I told you that that's your matrix. That shape of your matrix is like your table. So that's where the error is coming from. Okay, so I say your pandas is built on your pandas is built on NumPy. Okay, it's built on what? NumPy. So let's say, for example, which other data sets do we want to create again? Which other data set do we want to create again?
So what if we wanted to do like that Ghana, but to have values assigned to it to try to be like 2 columns, Nigeria, Ghana.
So how will we create that one? So how do we create that now?
I should like lights out, I should see out the code. df2 is equal to pd.data frame to bracket GDP
Mhm.
index is equal to the same thing, but it's the columns now.
Mhm. Now you see,
Or can we have like another thing after, because that GDP is ascribed to only Nigeria. So can we have like another list ascribed to Ghana?
so we create another list, right?
Yes.
GDP2.
So call it what? GDP what?
GDP GH.
GDP2.
GDP2.
GDP2. So we'll create another one again, right? So let's say, here we have 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Okay. So in that case now, we now have GDP. GDP2. So if we have GDP2 this way, and we have, let's say, so the same index, right? But in this case, we have what? Let's say we call it Ghana, right? Let's say we call it Ghana. Let's say we call this Ghana. So let's call this one 3. All right, let's say DF3. So this is Ghana. This is Nigeria, right? So that means if I want to see them together, how else can I do that?
We can create a new DF, maybe like DF4. DF4 is equal to pd.data frame. Into bracket. This is a guess, but GDP, GDP2. GDP, GDP2.
Now, if I put GDP2, right? GDP2, what has happened?
Or can you just finish the one for GDP, then start for GDP2? Something like that.
But it's the same index now. It's just different columns.
So if I now say index equal to whatever, okay, let me copy this one now. Now, but you see, whenever you are working, so if this is index, I will now say, okay, give me the columns. The columns will now, let's say Nigeria, Ghana. If we do it this way, you will notice, can you see that? What's the problem here? You see this guy. So it's like you are taking more arguments than required. Isn't it? You are taking more arguments than required, because if you look at P, you are not sure the data frame, right? If you press Shift Tab, can you see to tell you what it should look like? Can you see that? So you have the data. Can you see you only have one space for the data?
Yes.
One argument for data, for index, for columns. Okay. So that is why whenever you want to create it, you first of all need to understand how the data will look like first. So that means the data has to be in one place, isn't it? Then before we can now say, okay, I will now need to now create, what do they call it now? The table. Okay, so you need to first understand how that data should look like first. Okay, so in this our own case now, rather than you creating a separate what do they call it now? So let's see how else can we do this now? How else can we do it now? So we have Ghana, so we have GDP 1. Then we have,
There's no GDP 1. Where GDP 1? I think it's GDP and GDP 2.
so the GDP. Can we add them together?
It worked somehow, not listed together.
Okay, so that's why we are going to now show how. So that's why you see, whenever you are creating this, right, you must first of all have an idea of how the structure should look like first. So once the structure is clear, then you can now start adding them up. Okay, so that's why you see, when we are working initially, you can also create them in form of like arrays, right? You know, like an array. You know how we do it in a NumPy. You know, so we have, for example, np.array. Then I can create whatever arrays I want. Let's say 10, 20. Let's say you have 30, 40. Let's say you have 50, 60. Oh, okay. What's the problem here?
Maximum number of arguments is 2.
But again, what again is the problem there? When you are dealing with arrays now, what's the problem here? Yes.
So it says that it only takes 1 to 2 positional arguments, but we put 3 positional arguments, that's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So if we remove like 1 pair, it might run.
Yeah, beyond that, but what again is the problem here? So you see, for your arrays, right, you remember it has to be double brackets here, right? Can you see that? It has to be what? Double what? Brackets before he expects to run. Okay, so let's say you have 10. So let's say this is 10, 20, 30, 40. So can you see how it looks now? Can you see how it looks?
Yeah.
So let's assume now you have, okay, let's call this data. Let's say data. Let's say this is data, or let's call this GDP. Let's call this GDP. So you see, on one part here, can you see one part is a column?
Yes.
So let's say, for example, let's use a shorter data set. Okay, so let's say df equals to pd.data frame, right? Let's say what's our data? Let's say our data is GDP. Let's say our index. Let's say our index is year. Okay, let's say year Okay, we have 3 there, isn't it? So let's say we have 20 what now? So let's say we have 20 what? 2019. Let's say we have 2020. Let's say we have 2021. Okay. Then for the columns, so since we have 2 countries, then we can say, okay, let's say one is Nigeria and let's say the other one is Ghana. Something like that. So if I say DF, so can you now see that it will not appear this way? So that is why you need to learn. You see why I say the foundation of all this is that your NumPy. Okay, is your NumPy. So when you look at a matrix is like a table. Can you see that now? That the matrix is like what? A table. Okay, so what we are trying to fit in here, right? Doing it this way may not have worked. So the easiest way would have to put it in what? An array first, which is like a matrix. So it is based on that matrix to now convert it into what? A data frame. Have you seen that now?
Yes. Yeah.
Good. But most time in practice, you don't actually have to do all this, isn't it? Because most time you'll be working with proper tables. So it means your table would have been in Excel. Okay. But we are just trying to show you situations where you may now have to create. So if, for example, if I have DF, right? Now DF, for example, if I want to call Nigeria, if I want to extract Nigeria out, how do I extract Nigeria? I want to see content of Nigeria. How do I extract Nigeria out? How do I extract Nigeria out? Or slice Nigeria out?
.Nigeria.
Okay, if I say df.nigeria, right? Or df Nigeria. Can you see that? But if I want it to show this way, then I will have to also put df, put double bracket, Nigeria. Can you see that now? So this is Nigeria, then the same way you can do for Ghana. So which means if I want to now create maybe a new column, if I want to create a new column and call that new column, let's say I want to call it Africa, right? I want to create that new column called Africa, right? So what do we do? So we want to create a new column called Africa on this table. How do I do that? A new column called Africa. So how are we going to do that?
Can you append?
Can you append? Yes, you can append. Yes, you can append. Yes, you can append. But remember that for now, we have not gotten to where you are dealing with methods, right? So we're just working with the basic distance. So if you want to create that, remember, what is the name of this table? What is the name of this table we are working with?
Yeah.
DF, is it not? So if I say DF Africa, can you see that? So that means in this table, I want to create a new table called Africa, right? So what do I want to see in the Africa? So let's say I have df.nigeria plus df.ghana, right? So if I call df, can you see what has happened now? Do you see this now? So this is how you can work with your tables, okay? So if I want to, for example, create, let's say, what do I want to create now? Okay, let's say we want to add, maybe let's say I have maybe Kenya data. Let's say I have Kenya as, let's say, 200, 300, 400, right? Okay. Now I want to add Kenya to this, right? So which means I want to create a new column called what?
Kenya.
Kenya, isn't it? So how do I create a new column called Kenya now?
DF, DF bracket, DF bracket, should be double brackets. Kenya. Yeah.
You want double bracket like this?
Yeah. Kenya.
Okay.
That doesn't look correct.
Okay. Yes, then what again? I want to create a new column called Kenya. So what do we do? Yes.
Maybe you can now say DF dot Nigeria plus DF Ghana plus DF Kenya.
Now, if you do that DF dot Kenya, that's DF dot Kenya. Is this Kenya on this table yet?
No, it's not.
It's not there yet.
It's not.
It's not there yet. So how do we now create that Kenya? That's the question now.
Can we do DF dot append bracket Kenya?
DF dot append. How did we do for Africa? When we created for Africa, how did we do for Africa now?
No, we added Nigeria and Kenya. Nigeria and Ghana.
Yes. So if I want to do for Kenya now.
Okay, DF bracket Kenya.
Exactly. Kenya. Yes. What again?
Is equal to
equal to what? This is where your Python basics now come now.
2019 divine, 2020 divine.
You know, your Kenya is already there now. You already have this as Kenya. Now.
Kenya is already defined.
This is Kenya.
Okay,
now.
okay. I didn't see that before.
So if I say DF, can you see that now? Do you see that now? So that's how you create. So this why I'm using smaller tables here, so at least you understand what is happening at the back end. Because when you now see large, because we are using very big tables now, sometimes you may be guessing what is happening. So that's why it's better when you are learning it, use small tables so that you can see what is happening. Yeah, so you can see what is happening. And remember again, we mentioned that you can also use your tables. Sorry, you can also use dictionaries. I think we showed you how to use dictionaries, right? We showed you how to use dictionaries, isn't it? How to create a data frame from a dictionary. Did we show that?
Yes, you did last week.
You showed us.
We did last week, isn't it? Because it's very important that you understand how to put it in dictionary. Because sometimes when you extract your data, either from the web, it will either come in form of a list or in form of what, a dictionary. Okay, so you must easily understand how to convert switch from what, a list to a data frame, or a dictionary to what, a data frame. Because at the end of the day, as analyst, this is what we are going to be working with. All your tables will come like this. Okay, because this is actually what you want. So for example, if we have, like, say, let's say states now. Let's say we have our states. Which states now? Okay, let's say, here we have countries. So let's say we have countries. So the countries we have here, let's say we have Nigeria, we have which other one? Ghana, we have what? Kenya. We have Kenya, right? Good. Then let's say we have GDP equal to, so let's say our GDP, let's say we have what now? Okay, let me put it in different distance first. So either I can put it this way, or if I want to create it in form of a dictionary, right? So remember, for the dictionary, then that means I'll say, okay, let's say, so if I have for a dictionary now, remember, let's say I have states now, right? Or let's say countries. So let's say countries equal to, what does a dictionary start with? Which bracket does it start with?
The curved brackets. Is it the curved brackets?
Yes, your curly brackets, isn't it?
Curly brackets, yes.
Yes. Okay, let's say we still have our GDP. Let's say GDP as, let's say we have GDP as what now? Let's say 200, let's say 300, let's say 500. Okay, let's say 500, good. So that means that if I want to now call it up, so let's say I will say GDP, let's say DF equals to, now I want to put in form of what? A dictionary, right? So I will have the states, right? I will have the states, or let's say I have the countries. So let's say here I have countries. So what's my countries?
Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya.
Yeah, so that will be countries.
Countries.
Is it not lowercase? Or let me say, okay, let me use one as country, right? Why that would be countries, comma. Y for GDP now. So here I'll have GDP. So this is a capital letter, GDP. Will now be what?
Small letter GDP.
Yes, small letter GDP. So if I say DF, now you see, we have not yet converted to a dictionary, isn't it? So we have not converted to a data frame. This is still in a dictionary. Because if we want to check the, how do you check the data type for this? How do you check the data type for this? How do you check data type?
TF type.
GF dot type, isn't it? Aha. Is it like this or put bracket? Which one? How do we do it? How do you check your data type? Yes? How do you check your data type?
Type in brackets what you want to check. I don't know if that works here.
Type in bracket like this.
Yeah.
Type DF, yeah.
Aha. Good. You see why all those little things now come in handy, so that I will check. This my data frame now. Is it a data frame or is it a dictionary? Right? So in that case, it's still what? In form of what? A dictionary. So if I was to convert to a data frame now, how do I convert to a data frame now?
PD dot.
So let me call this one D, right? So if I want to convert to data frame, so let me say DF is equals to PD dot what? Data frame here.
In bracket, data equals.
Yes, data equals to what?
Equal to GDP.
But remember, I already have created it already as a dictionary.
Okay, no. Okay, PD dot data frame, then D.
D, exactly. D. If I run that now, can you see that now? So we have country GDP. Again, if I don't want to create it this way, it means that I can also create it once, right? So I say DF equals to PD dot data frame, isn't it? So for my data, So remember, we already have states, right? So here I will call, here's my, so here I have here as countries, right? So I'll say country, semicolon, then I'll put the list there. So where's my list? This is my list. It's the same thing we are doing. I'm just showing you another way of doing it. If you want to do it in full, right? The same way. Comma. Then if I want to get my GDP, I'll call it GDP column. Then where's my GDP? This is my GDP. Okay. Now in that case, will this one work? Will this work?
Yes, you should.
It should. It should work. Okay. Oh. So what's the problem? So what's the problem?
Valid syntax. Country. Yes. GDP.
What is the problem?
Bracket type.
Bracket what?
Yes, syntax. That's the wrong syntax.
Invalid syntax. So what's the problem here? What's the problem here? Yes. Remember, what is the data?
Oh, okay. The data is GDP. No, yeah. Oh.
Data type for what we are trying to.
What did you ask? I didn't hear you.
I said, what is the data type first that we're trying to move to the data frame?
This is a dictionary.
So how do you start a dictionary?
With the value, with the key, sorry.
Yes, with the key. But look at the brackets. What bracket do you use to start a dictionary?
A key bracket.
A what?
Curly brackets.
Curly bracket. So we should have a curly bracket. Can you see that now? So you see those little differences, right? Those little things that we take for granted sometimes can cause serious problem for us. So that's why you must always be clear what kind of data type you are trying to use. So most times it's either you are going to use a data frame, right? Sorry, you're going to either use a dictionary or a list, right? Good. All right, I think that's fine. Then we try to also show you that sometimes again, you may also have, so we have shown you like 2, 3. So let us see how we can now create a much larger data set. I don't know, should we import data? Should we import data or we should just create data? Which one should we use? Should we import or we just create and be working with data we create?
Can we do both?
We can do both, but because I want to just maybe
you can do both. Then after after the creation, then we can choose to continue working with just one.
Okay. All right. Which data set do we have? Which data sets do we have?
We have Superstore. Yes.
We have Superstore. Okay. Superstore data. I wanted to use this small data set so that we can be seeing everything that is happening immediately. Yes, you can use the Superstore. That Superstore data, do we have it in CSV format? Do we have it in the CSV format? Superstore. Let me look for that Superstore. Okay, store. Okay, store. Okay. Let me send you this one. Okay, store. So this your store. Let me send you this file on your text. Well, the file is closed. Let me close it first. So let me send you a file called store. But that store will be in a CSV format. Yes, store. Okay. Now, okay, I think there are certain things we still need to learn before we start importing data. There are certain things we need to learn before we start importing data. Now, the reason is that, you see, when we are opening our files, right? When we are opening our Python file, you remember that your Python file you are trying to open, you will see that when you're opening it, some of us have opened from the root. Some of us have opened from desktop. Okay? Because if you are not clear on where the path is, that means you need to go and what? Copy that path and paste it and say, okay, this is where I want the data to come from. Otherwise, it's going to be giving you what? Errors. Okay? So let me show you how to work with it. So anytime you are opening your Python file, right? Or your Python, you know when you open your Jupyter notebook, when you have opened from the beginning, you sometimes you either open from the root or open from the desktop. Sometimes you also have to create a folder where you have all your Python files, right? You have to open a folder where you have all your Python files. So it is based on that you can now select and say, take this file from this particular folder. So instead of you calling the whole path, then in that case, you may just have to just only call maybe one or two these things. So let me show you an example of what we are trying to do now. So let me quickly show you. So if you see your folder, right? Just go. Have you downloaded that file?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You have downloaded the file, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now go to your desktop. Go to your desktop. You know how to select your this thing. You know how to select your parts, the part of the file, of a file.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yes. From the
Sorry, doctor, not seeing file.
from the what do you call it now?
Did you
in the
drop a
charts.
file?
On the yes, on your this thing now.
From that bar, yeah,
On the-
address bar.
From your address bar, exactly. Okay, let me see if I can share my.
Can someone share the file on the group? I'm using my phone. I can't see it on the chat.
So this is it, right? So if I want to get the path, can you see this is the path? This is the file, isn't it? Can you see the file here?
Yes, sir, we can see it.
You can see the file. Can you see path, copy path?
Okay.
Copy path. So that path has been copied now. Okay. So I've copied the path of the file. So let's go back to my Python now. Okay. So if I want to bring in the data, so let me call the data store. So what is the file type? What is the file?
Excel.
The file type, what is it? Is it an Excel file, a CSV file?
It's a CSV file.
CSV
A
file.
CSV file. So I will say pd.read_CSV. Can you see that? pd.read_CSV. Then I will now paste the path here. Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
Now I will have to read it. So I'll put R there. R is like read that part for me. Okay. So let's run that. So if I say store, can you see now it has come out? Can you see that now? So this, if it was an Excel file, I think the one I have the Superstore is Excel. So let's try Excel file. So let me copy the same procedure. So your own Excel file, let me say Superstore. Now, because it's an Excel file, I'll say pd.read Excel. Then I will paste the paths. Now, in some instances, this may run. Some we may give you error. Okay. So hopefully it will run. So Superstore. So can you see this was the Excel file? This is the CSV file. Can you see the difference now?
Yes, sir.
Can you see the difference now?
Yes.
Now you see, because the file is quite huge, right? So if I say pd.heads, so it just give me top 5. Now you see, because the file is quite large, right? So you are seeing so many. So just imagine your Excel. Imagine your Excel file, right? Your Excel file. So this is how you are reading your Excel file right here. So that I say, let us first of all work with normal data, then before we come back here to this. Because when the data is quite large, sometimes we may not understand what is happening at the back end. So it's good that when we see small data, we can be reading it and say, okay, this is what is happening. So when you see a large data, at least you understand what is going on there. Is that okay? But have we seen how to import the file now? Have we seen how to import your files now? Either a CSV file or an Excel file.
Yes, sir.
All right, good. So let's go back. Let's still create some data. Let's create our own data set. Then later we can come back to this.
Okay, just take all the first line. What's happening?
All right. So we have everybody. Have you all imported that file now? Have we all seen how to import the Excel file or CSV file now?
Fatu, can you mute your speaker?
Sorry, can we mute? All right, thanks. Okay, so let's create our own data sets. So let's create a small data set so that we can actually read through, so that we see what is happening there. All right, so let's go. So let's look at, so let's import the library random, isn't it? Import random. Import random. Now I showed you one way again to import this random, isn't it? What's the other way to import this random? I showed you another way of importing random, isn't it? So I say from numpy, you know, from numpy, import random. Or if I want to import another one again, I can still say comma rand n or whatever you want there. Okay, so cannot import. Okay, can't import it from that. Okay. So in that case, I can now say, okay, from numpy.random import rand n. That work. So you can also do that. There's another one, rand int. I think rand int is also there. So I can also import them this way.
Dr. Francis.
Okay, so either way. So one is for, yes?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, can we just go straight from, say maybe instead of using import random, we can just go from numpy.random import rand n and rand int like that.
Yes, yes, now you can do it this way. Straight.
Okay.
How did I show? I showed you can do it this way. You can do it this way. You can do it this way.
Okay.
All right. So let's say, for example, let's say tf, let's say pd.data frame. Now let's say I want to create, let's say rand, and let's say I want to create a 5 by 4. 5 by 4 means what? 5 by 4 means what?
5 columns.
5 columns, 4 rows.
4 rows.
Hey, data analysis.
Rows and columns. So it's like 5 rows, 4 columns.
Exactly, 5 rows, 5 columns, isn't it? Good. So let's say then index, let's say our index, what will be our index now? So either we use ABC or I can write ABC then split it. Which one do you prefer? Should we write the A, B, C, let's see, D, let's see, E, right? Then our columns, what will be our columns now? Let's say W, X, Y, Z. So if I create this one now, you know, alternative, if I didn't want to do it this way, if I have written it, maybe I didn't separate them, that means I have to now split it. Okay. So in this case, what you are seeing here, that means here can be the year, here can be maybe the states, right? So which structures do we understand better? This ABC, what should we put it as ABC? Do you want us to put it as year, or you want us to put it as states?
We can put it as states, and then we'll put XYZ as the years.
As the years. Data analysts. When we are creating tables, we give you certain rules you must follow, right? And what were those rules? Especially for your data sheets. Yes? What were the rules? Do we still remember those rules?
There
For
must
your
be a
data?
title.
Yeah?
A title,
Dedicated.
a header. The date will be part of the columns.
You said the date was what?
Part of the columns, not on the row.
Yeah, but what do we say about it? That all dates must be on a single column.
Yes.
So that means I cannot put date this way.
Oh, okay.
You see that from the onset, you can only have it one, okay? So let's assume here now we have our, so let's say here we have, which year now should we put? Which year should we put now?
Start from 2010.
20 what?
10.
2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, like this, right? Is it up to 5 now?
Yes, it's up to 5.
Okay, up to 5 like this. Okay, good. Then on these columns, what should we call it? Product or what? Or let's leave it as X. But we understand as X, Y, Z.
Let's define it. Like maybe.
Let's define it. Yeah. Or let's leave it as our. Okay, let's say. What other way can we define it again?
Price, quantity.
Okay, because these ones they are, so let's say rand, if you say rand int, right? But rand int, I now have to specify the highest and lowest. If I do a rand int there, rand, okay, let me leave that rand int first. So here, what should we call this one now? Okay, let's say, for example, let's just call them by countries. Let's say Nigeria, let's say Ghana, let's see South Africa, let's see Kenya. So, whatever it is, right? So let's assume whatever data it is there. Okay, so you have a data set like this, isn't it? And I've shown you how to extract, isn't it? So if you want to extract data, you now know how to extract the data, right? You now know how to extract the data. But let's see, assuming I want to create it in form of, let's say I want full numbers. Let's say whole numbers. This is where for decimal, right? So in that case, for rand int now, what will it be? For rand int now. Let's say, for example, we need how many numbers? 5 numbers. Is that 5 numbers?
Yes, 5 numbers.
5 numbers. Rand int. Okay, let's see. But in that case, we need to change the structure. We needed to change the structure. Because you know, for your rand int, right? If I was to get, let's say, data, it would have been np.random.rand int, right? But you know, you have to now specify, okay, give me numbers between 1 to 50, give me 20 numbers. If I say data, can you see that? It has given me 20 numbers, right? Now, this your 20 numbers. Now, what do we now do with these 20 numbers?
Not shape them.
We'll not shape them, isn't it? So how can we now shape this one now?
We say data dot reshape. We can do 4 by 5.
4 by 5 like this.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
4 by 5. Now let's see if we can move this guy Let's see if we can move this guy here. It don't work. Did it work like this? No, sir. What did this tell you? It says shape.
Of pass value.
Yes.
Okay, we
So
can
what
change
did
it to 5 by 4.
5 by 4. Yeah. Did it work now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you see how your different, the little things that you're learning, see how you can now bring them together? Because sometimes when you are learning all this, you'll be like, when will I use all this? You don't know when you are going to use them, right? So this one looks better now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So you can also, like in this case now, remember this, the data is already labeled for you already, so it's already clear, right? So you now know your columns, you now know your table, okay? Because there are situations where, for example, like this situation where we're trying to create this data, right? For example, where we're trying to create this data. So if I was to create it in form of a data frame, how would I create it in a data frame now? So how do I put this in a data frame now? This data, how do I convert it to a data frame? If I was to convert it to a data frame, now how will I put it in a data frame?
PD dot.
Yes, PD dot.
Data frame.
Data frame, yes. Yes.
In brackets, data.
Data, isn't it? So can you see it's already the data frame? So if I say df1, can you see that? And if I call df1 now, so this is, so you see 0 now. What will be the column name now? So if I want to label the column name now, how will I label the column name?
You say comma, column.
Here I'll say comma, column.
Brackets. You can put maybe number or something. You can use the name number or anything.
Is it column or columns?
Columns.
Equals to what now?
Column.
You can say number or value, whatever.
Okay, so let's say values, right? Can you see that? Alternatively, I can even say, I can even create, maybe I can call label equal to values, right? Or let's say amount, or let's say GDP. Can you see that? So which means if I want to call it now, now call here what? Columns equals to what? Columns equals to what?
Label.
Label.
Yeah.
Aha, but what does it tell me? It says must be with collection of some kind. GDP was passed. What is this error now saying?
We have to put it in a apostrophe.
Now, because it's in a, was it in a variable? Label.
I think we need to, we can put it in parentheses.
Put it in brackets.
In bracket.
Can you see that? Label.
Dr. Francis,
Run this one, Dr. Francis.
if you want the numbering to start from 1 rather than from 0, how do we go about it?
Okay, you need the number to start from 1 instead of 0. Remember, by default, right? By default, Python uses index what?
0.
index 0, isn't it? Index
sir.
0. So which means if I want to make it, so that means if I want to make it start from 1, it means I need to label, so here we have 1 to what now?
19.
Will it be 1 to 19? So
It
let's
has to be 1 to 20 now. I think.
okay, let's call it let's say serial equals to what? How do I generate number 1 to 19? How do I?
What did you ask?
I said, how will I generate number 1 to 19? Sorry, 1 to 20. How do I generate numbers 1 to 20?
Can you use range, list? Okay, this is how we use list here. List in brackets, range.
List what?
List in brackets, then range 1, 20.
Okay. List what?
List in brackets, range 1, another bracket. 1, 20, 21.
Is it 20 or 21? So if I say serial, so I now have 1 to what? 21, isn't it? So which means that if I want to now get so what you want to do is the index, isn't it? But remember that here, your index is already set by default, isn't it? Your index is already set by default. So which means you can easily set your own, set your own index. Okay, you can easily set your own index. So if you were to set your own index, so which means this our index is called serial, isn't it? The name of the table is called what?
DF1.
DF1, isn't it? So this is DF1, right? Dot set index. So that means I have to set the index. What's the index? Serial. Hey, say I don't know what you're saying. No. So what's the problem? I say none are in columns. So why is that? Why is that so?
You need to reshape it.
Is it reshape? I need to first of all attach it to this guy.
Okay.
Isn't it? Remember how we did it before now? And we have to first of all create a new column called what? Serial, isn't it? So how do I create this column called serial there? How do I create the column called serial?
Just to try, can we copy that list range 1 to 21 into that?
Yes, I want to put it here as part of the table. So how will I do that? Yes.
We have to create another column on top.
Yes, I want to create another column. Yes.
Yeah, we can go up where we define the DF1. We can add comma here. After the columns equal label, create another one, comma, and add another one. No, after the square bracket.
Here.
Yeah, we can now call maybe serial.
Will that work?
Or I think with another square bracket, that should go.
Remember that what you are trying to do is that this serial, right, is a what? What's the data type here? This serial, what's the data type?
Oh, it's a list.
Is a list. This your DF1, what's the data type?
Data frame.
It's a data. Are they the same?
No, they're not.
Yeah. So what we are supposed to do, we are supposed to move that serial into a data frame. Then once you are put in a data frame, we can now set that particular column as the index. Right? So how did we do it before? So how do we do this?
PD.data frame.
PD.data frame.
Serial, bracket serial.
Like this.
Yes, I can use maybe df2 for it. df2 equals PD.
Remember, if you do that, that means that is a separate data you are creating. We want to create it in the same table.
Okay. So we can just run this.
So look at it. So this is your df1, isn't it? So the table is df1. So df1, we want to create a new table called serial, isn't it?
Okay.
Equals to what? Serial, right? So if I call df1, can you see that now? So this is it now, isn't it? So I want to now use this one as what, the index, right? So what do I now do? I will say what?
Please, could you scroll up a little? Okay.
So let me create new cells. So how do I now set it now? And now say df1 dot what? Set what? Index. Which index do I want to set now? Serial. This one, right? So let's run that. Can you see it now? You see that now?
Yes, sir.
But in this case, if you want to, if I create it now in a, if I create it in a table df now, so if I call df, this is what I'm going to be seeing now. So now you can relabel your own index. So that's how you do it. Clear? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. So let's run that again. So that's my df now, isn't it? So let's go down. So that's how to set your own index. All right, so let's look at it. So df, okay, good. So remember, if I was to extract it, I have df, let's say Nigeria. So this will extract Nigeria for me. But if I want to show everything in full, then I can put it df double bracket Nigeria. If in case I want to select another one, let's say I want to select Kenya. So I can select Kenya. Can you see that that is Nigeria and what? Kenya. All right. Now, you know, there are certain situations now. Let's say, for example, let's see, will this one work for us? Now, you know, for example, now where you have the, so let's say, for example, this guy, you know, you have already called it Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, Kenya, right? So there are certain situations where you may now have to now change the names, right? You now have to change the name. Maybe, for example, you want to change the name of the column, right? You want to change the name of the column. So sometimes you have your own method. So if I put dots, if I put the shift tab, Now, this is, so if you want to learn more about it, right, you see different examples of what you can do. Can you see that? You can see different examples of what you can do. So you can just copy them from there and you can use those ones to practice, okay? Now you have some distance. So you have, for example, I want to rename. So there's rename. So if I have Shift Tab, it will now tell you what do you need to do. So in case I need to rename, you will see examples of how to rename. Can you see, for example, column? Can you see that how I can rename it? So A, I want to call it small a, B, I want to call it C, right? So something like that. So you can also create, rename your what columns. Okay, you want to rename your columns. So for example, I say columns. What do I want to rename now? Let's say I want to rename Kenya to, I don't know, maybe Egypt. So let me say Kenya. Let me see, with this one, what can I call it? Egypt. Do you see what has happened?
Yes, sir.
What did we use to change it here? What did we use to change? We use what?
No, a dictionary.
A dictionary, isn't it? So you see where dictionary now comes in handy. Because in case I have multiple, then I can now change them that way.
Hello, Dr. Francis.
Yes.
So if we want to add Africa and we want Africa to be the sum of all these countries, how do we go about it?
Okay, you want to have Africa, is not the sum of all of them. All right, okay. Hold on. Now, what's the name of this table?
DF.
What's the name of DF? So if I call DF, do you see that my Kenya has come back?
Yes, sir.
So that means this renaming I have done is temporary. Can you see that? So if I want to make it permanent, then I have to now say in place equals to true. In place means make it permanent. Or I will create it in another variable. You understand that? So either I use in place, so that in place means make it permanent. So if I run that now, so if I run DF now, can you see Egypt has now come? But if I don't use this in place, it means it's going to be temporary. Unless I run it inside and that variable. Okay, so let's go. So he was asking, how do we add this? Also add all these ones, right? Okay, so how do we add it now? How do we add? So first of all, I want to create a column. Is it not? What's the name of the column?
Africa.
Africa, isn't it? We'll call it what? Africa. Okay, Africa. So if I have Africa there, that means that I will have DF what? Africa, isn't it? Is equal to what? Is equal to what?
It's summing, it's really saying Nigeria plus Ghana plus South Africa.
So that's where you now have to now ask yourself, okay, how do I want to achieve this? Because when we get to pivot tables, I will now show you how you can do that. But for now, since we are still at the beginning stage, right? So let us do it the normal way you'd have done it, isn't it? So how we have done it, you have added what now?
Nigeria
We add Nigeria,
Ghana, South Africa, and Egypt.
Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, Egypt.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yes.
We'd have just added them up normally, just like we had done it before. Isn't it? So that means we can say df.nigeria, isn't it, plus df.what? Ghana plus DF dot South Africa. Hey, you see where space has come now, that will cause another problem for you. Isn't it?
Shouldn't it
Plus
be underscore?
Dot Egypt. You said what?
I'm just thinking that's South Africa. Should it not be like underscore?
Yeah, I'm trying. That time. So you see, with this situation now, it's now clear that if I have run it this way, it may give me problem, right? Because of this space here. So if I run that, can you see that you give me problem? Can you see showing me Africa there? So rather, instead, so whenever you have a space like that, then alternatively, instead of me doing it this way, then I can use the other method. So where I have DF Africa will be equals to DF, I'll now open bracket, Nigeria plus DF Ghana. Please make sure the spellings they are correct. DF South Africa. Can you see now where this bracket is better than you working like this? Okay, plus DF what? Egypt. Check spelling is correct. So if I say DF, do I have it now?
Yes, sir.
Can we do just one DF and then we have all those ones inside the bracket?
You said?
Can we have one DF and just have Nigeria plus Ghana plus South Africa plus Egypt?
So you have DF like this, Nigeria plus Ghana like this.
Yes,
Is that what you're saying?
yes.
So
Plus.
let's say plus, let's say Ghana. So let's say if it's just these two that we want. What is it telling you?
Key error, Nigeria, Ghana.
It doesn't understand what you're saying there. Can you see that? So you have to now separate them because they are different. So if I run it this way, to understand this one, but if I go and bring them together inside one bracket, it won't work. So do you see that?
Yes, sir.
Good. Okay, so we have seen how to add. So you have seen how to create new column, isn't it? You have seen how to rename a new column, right? We have seen how to create a new column. We have seen how to rename a new column. You have seen how to import your data, isn't it? You have seen how to import your data. You know, sometimes if you look at your, let me run DF, right? So this is DF now. So if you look at the data now, you see in Python, right? Python uses index what? What index does Python use?
Index 0.
0.
You reach with index what? 0, isn't it? Index what? 0. So which means if I was to read the table, right? If I was to read the table, remember how we are looking at when we are slicing? When we are slicing, so if I say DF, DF1, what does that mean? DF1. DF1. What does it mean?
Is it DF index 1?
Yes. So what is index 1 now?
The second.
Second what?
It's not showing. But I said
Because it's not understanding what you are saying here, right? But you see, that's why whenever you, because already it's already labeled. Remember, your tables are already what? Labeled, right? So that's why sometimes when you are reading it, you now use what they call index location. Index location. So for example, if I say df dot ilog 0, what is ilog 0 now? What are you seeing there?
The first row.
It's looking at the first word row. Can you see that? So if I say index 1, what is this one telling you now?
Second row.
The second word row. Can you see that? Now, which means if I say from 1 to the end, what does this one mean now?
The whole table.
Yeah?
No, starting from the second row to the last.
To the last, isn't it? Because if I was to select for columns is a little bit easier because you can easily specify your columns. Isn't it? You can easily specify the columns the way you want your columns. And you see, even when you are creating your columns, right? Even when you are creating your columns, you can easily set. So for example, I can say df, if I say df Nigeria, this one means give me just Nigeria, isn't it? Give me just what? Nigeria. If I say df.lock, let's see this. So it's not saying Nigeria there. Let's see. So you have ilock, you have location. So let's say df.lock. Let's say 1. What is that? Okay, it's not seeing that. Okay, because it's already labeled. Okay, so let's see. So for Nigeria on case, that means I can say, I can specify the country, the states I want. So if I can say, give me Nigeria, give me what? Give you Nigeria, give you what again?
Give me Ghana, give me Africa.
Okay, let's say Ghana. Then let's say Africa. Hey. Now, why is it not showing us everything we need?
Like you
Why
said,
is it not
that
showing?
you have to put it, it has to be separate. DF Nigeria, DF Ghana.
You have to use your double brackets.
Oh, okay.
Can you see that? So you can easily select. And remember again, because your data keeps growing, right? It keeps growing. So in terms of the rule, so for example, if I want to check the shape of this, so df.shape, what's the shape now of this data?
5 by 3.
5 by what?
5 by 5. No, it goes to 5 by 3.
That's for the entire data.
Okay, 5 by 5.
For the entire data is 5 by 5, right?
Yeah.
So this is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 columns, isn't it? Good. So that's how you need to. That's how you check the shape of the data. And when you are working with your data, remember there are certain things you may want to do, some calculations you want to do, right? So remember, for example, we added up. So for example, if I have, so the way we got Africa, isn't it? So imagine now you have, let's say you want to create a new variable called df. Let's say you have a variable called, okay, let's say Africa 2. Which means maybe that variable, what we are going to do is the square of Africa, the value for square of Africa. So how do I square the Africa data? I'll say Africa, df what? Africa. How do I raise to power 2?
Star.
Yeah, raise to power what? 2, isn't it? So if I run df, can you see that now? The same way, if I want to create another variable, let's say called underscore 2. So maybe I want to multiply by 2. So that is to multiply by 2. If I say df, so this is how you keep what? Creating your what? Variables. So this is what they refer to as what? Feature generation. Have you heard of feature generation? That means you are creating new variables from existing variables. Right? Even if, for example, it has a formula, maybe it has a particular formula, maybe the formula you want to get, let's say you want to get df, let's say I want to create under this thing, I want to, let's say EU, right? And the formula you want to get for EU is, let's say, df Nigeria plus df, let's say, Africa 2 minus, let's say, df Egypt. Then maybe I want to now divide everything. How will I divide everything now? Okay, let's say divided by what now? Divided by what now?
DF Ghana.
Let's say DF Ghana. You know, sometimes the formulas can be crazy, right? So let's see, will this one work? So let's watch now. Because remember, you have to work with your board mass so that you will not cause problems. So let us do all this on top first. Right? Do all this on top, then the answer you have divided by that. What did he say? Nigeria. What's the problem? So, Nigeria. So check again.
No, Africa.
Africa. We put head in Africa.
2.
We put what?
It's 1. It is 1 Africa 1.
No, we don't have 1 in the.
We don't
We
have
have Africa 2. It's Africa 2. We have.
Africa 2. All right, good. So DF now, can you see how crazy it now looks? So now imagine you now have millions of data.
So we can use the double. Can use the what do you call it? The double slash here, right? That's the floor division. To take out
floor division, okay, that floor division. So if you want to, if you want to,
okay,
yes, you can do that. Okay, so you see how you can create variables from all. So even if you have any formula, right, you can create the formula here, or you can go and write a function, call that function to apply on the column. You know those your functions we have been learning. Remember the functions we have been learning. So this is where you can now apply those functions here. So for example, this one can be a function. So I'll now call a function on the particular column. Okay. So this is how you can now start your analysis. Okay. So just imagine, for example, I want to remove, let's say, for example, I want to remove this EU. Right? I want to remove EU. Now, if I want to remove that EU, so the table name is df.drop, right? What's the column I want to drop? EU, right? Now, take note, when you are working with your data, if I say drop EU like this, they say, I don't know what you are telling me to drop, because the reason is EU not found in axis. When they say axis, what does that mean? EU not found in axis. What does that mean? By default, it works with the rows, isn't it? Because remember, in your matrix, it is row by what? Column. So by default, it's looking at your rows first, but I don't want it on the rows, it's on that column. So that column is what it's referring to as what? The axis. So I have to now tell it axis So I have to now specify that my axis equals to 1. This one simply means this is the column. Can you see that? It means this is what? A column. But you see, if I run it again, you can still see EU there. Because what I have done is not permanent. So if I say DF1, inside DF1, it will show me this. But if I run the DF again, it will still show me the full data, which means I have not removed it permanently. So to remove permanently, what do I do? How do you remove it? I will now say what? Exactly. So I will say DF dot what? Drop what? EU, comma, axis equals to what?
1.
Equals to 1. In place equals to what? True. So now if I run DF, can you see it's out now? It's no longer there. Have you seen that?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Good. So that's how you can remove your columns. You can. Now again, even if you were, and that thing again we can do. Now you see sometimes if you look at your data, right? If you look at your data, you see that sometimes this data, for example, here we have already labeled the index. Can you say we have already labeled these ones, right? Already. So if I was to remove, let's say 20 or 14. So how will I remove 2014 now? If I was to remove 2014 now, how will I remove 2014? Say DF the what? Drop, right? What am I dropping? If I say 2014. 2014. Does he understand this?
Yes.
Does he understand it?
Yes.
Because by default, he's looking at your what? Rules, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now let's see. If I say DF, let's come back to DF. Is it still there?
Yes.
Is it still there? Yes. You know what we have done here is the same thing as saying, comma, axis equal to 0. Axis equal to 0 means what? What does this one mean? Axis equal to 0 means what?
That's the first.
That's your row.
First row.
Not the first row. It's just telling you that it's on the row.
Okay.
By default, this height is. That's why you can remove it and it will still work.
Oh, okay, okay.
But for column, to specify that it is for the column, I have to put axis equals to what? 1 to tell me that this is a column. It doesn't mean that it's one column or first column. It just means it's on the column. So that if you want to see what's going on behind this, if I say df.drop, I put shift tab, right? Now you can start reading what it's telling you there. Can you see that axis equals to 0? Can you see there? It's by default. Axis equals to 0. That means remove it on the row. But if I now tell it axis equals to 1, it means that what? I have switched it to what? The column. But if I have more than one column, I can now put columns. Can you see that? And now select whatever I want there. So this is how you do it. So any of the methods you do, just put press shift tab and you see the details of what is happening there. Can you see that now? 0 index or 1 for columns. Can you see that? But default is 0. Okay. Then if you want to drop more than 1, then you now have to put it in form of a list. Then you select what have you there. So whatever you want to learn there, if you just come down, you can learn other forms. Can you see that? You can pick this one, learn it, and start practicing with them. You can start practicing with them. Okay, so these are the different ways of what working with what data. Okay, you see, gradually we'll be learning them small. Then we'll now start picking a data set. Now we'll now start the way you analyze your data set. Just think about your data set, the way we analyze it with your pivot tables. That is exactly what the same way we are going to do it in Python. Okay, so please try and practice what we have done so far, because we are going to keep building on it. I don't know if I sent you guys and that thing again you should take note of. If I come to help, right? Can you see pandas here? Pandas reference.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can you see NumPy?
Yes, sir.
Go to help. See pandas. So this is the original documentation for it. So this way you are going to learn everything. This way you learn. So for pandas, this is for pandas. User guides, right? You can download the PDF format. Download it there. Okay. And this is it. How many pages are you seeing there?
3,079.
So that's to tell you, this is the book. So if you don't want to do anything, this is all you want to learn. So if you want to say, I am a data analyst with Python, this is what you are supposed to go and learn. This book. So can you see that? So they have you made life easy for you. Right? They have you made life
MBA programmer.
It is an MBA program on its own, exactly. So all I'm just showing you, I'll just go pick gradually, right? Just to give you a foundation. But if you want to learn everything, this is where you are going to learn everything from. They already have a full documentation for you. I also sent you guys I'm sure I've sent you. Have I sent you guys the pandas data sheet, cheat sheet?
I think you did.
Yes, sir.
I think I have done. Is it not?
Yes, sir.
So go back there, go and look at it. So by the time you see all these people installed, I think that will make sense to you. If you see people installed, right? You understand what people install means, okay? Again, you see where we are going to still connect to a database. Can you see database? So you see, this is a very comprehensive user guide. So you see when they are talking about series, data frames, why more than one data structure? Can you see that? For column in DF, do you understand what this one means? Do you understand what this means?
Yes.
For column, you are looping, isn't it?
Yes,
So you see why you must first of all go through your Python basics first. Then as you are going through, there are so many things you may not have no covered, right? Then you start looking at it. As long as you have the basic foundation of it, when you see this one, do you understand what this one means now? Do you understand what this means?
Yes, sir.
What are they doing here?
I'm putting it in a data frame.
In a dictionary, exactly, that's all. So you see, what I keep telling you guys, it's not about just on that. You may not cram all the codes, but whenever you see it, you understand what it's trying to do here. So imagine this is an Excel file like you have it. So you want to create it in Python, isn't it? So you see how they are creating it. Then they will now create it in the Python there. Okay. So this is how you can learn them on your own. Okay. So this is a Titanic data set inside. So you can also. Is there any public holiday coming up?
June 12th.
June 12th.
June 12th. Okay, that's fine. All right. So please, any public holiday, please let's try and use it. You see what we have to cover is quite a lot. All right, guys. See you next week.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you very much, Dr.
Bye
Francis.
bye. Enjoy your day.
Thank you so much, sir.
Bye bye. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
All right, bye.